Has the David Vitter campaign jumped the shark? David Vitter is a senator from Louisiana. He's running for re-election. If you don't recall who he is, he's the guy, one of the guys, who was identified as a client of the DC Madam's prostitution ring a couple of years ago. Of course, he is a pro-family Roman Catholic. I want to get that in just so everybody remembers. His campaign is not doing poorly in the polls. In fact, he's up, which suggests to me this is a bizarre move. Recently, a constituent asked what would he do about the issue that Barack Obama is refusing to produce a valid birth certificate. I know he is addressing the birther issue. And here is what he said. Vitter said that although he doesn't personally have legal standing to bring litigation, he supports conservative legal organizations and others who would bring that to court. I think that is the valid and most possibly effective grounds to do it. So David Vitter now throwing his hat into the ring and saying that he would support more investigation into just what country was Barack Obama born in, or is he a citizen? Does he have the right long-form birth certificate?
Will people just keep this going until Barack Obama's out of office? I don't get it.
I don't know. And then what will they do? I'm sure they'll have to come up with something else, right?
Yeah, like create a time machine after they have proof to go back in time and stop the election altogether.
Here's an interesting story involving Robert Gibbs, the White House press secretary, and CNS News' Fred Lucas. Lucas was curious to hear White House press secretary Robert Gibbs' take on comments by newly appointed healthcare chief Donald Berwick about redistribution of healthcare. After slamming Lucas for playing political games, he just keeps getting asked the same question over and over again, and I think Gibbs actually handles this well. Take a listen to this exchange.
Yes. Thank you, Rob. Just a couple more follow-ups on the Dr. Berwick's nomination. As far as some of the, among the controversial comments that he's made in the past that would have come out in the Senate confirmation hearing are that excellent health care is, well, excellent health care by definition is redistribution. Some of the others were mentioned. Does the president actually agree with that comment?
Look, this is somebody who is uniquely and supremely qualified to run an agency that is important to our government. It's important to seniors.
Does the president agree with the
I know
statement?
that this is the exact type of political game that the American people have come to understand dominates Washington and doesn't actually make their health care more affordable. April?
One more on this. You said that it would have been, you're confident there would have been a confirmation had there been a hearing, but you also think it would have been politically troublesome in an election year to have...
So this guy just goes on and on. If you could see what this guy looks like, Fred Lucas from CNS News, you would ask the question, how on earth is the White House screening these people that are getting in there? And if you see the video, a woman behind this guy just can't wait for him to stop his follow-ups. I looked up what is cnsnews.com, Lewis, because I'd never heard of it before. Here's how they describe themselves. An alternative to the liberal media, focusing on stories that are unreported, underreported, or misreported by the mainstream liberal media. Well, it's good news that we have yet another alternative to the liberal media that I have so much trouble finding. It's good that there's so many alternatives.
Right. Because we didn't have enough to begin with.
There certainly aren't enough alternatives. No, absolutely not. Few more things to get to here. New stations airing Midweek Politics that I'd love to say hello to. WRMC in Middlebury, Vermont is airing the show on the radio. And on television, Superior Community TV in Superior, Wisconsin. It's great to have a lot of these small public access stations. Some of the more interesting comments we get are from people who are watching our shows in a lot of these smaller areas spread across the country. It's really great.
Definitely, and we hope the comments keep coming.
Last week's poll, colleges teaching creationism should be allowed to what? 60% say give Bible studies degrees. 23% say not give any degrees at all. Kind of harsh. And 17% say give science degrees. The new poll on midweekpolitics.com, should burqas be banned, either for safety, security, or human rights issues? Yes, no, or not sure. Results next week. Few emails to get to. Last week we talked about Republicans supporting the troops and me saying that I don't believe that the troops are being supported. Here's a few comments. Don't be so silly. Of course the Republicans support the troops. Don't you see all of those support the troops stickers on their huge SUVs? And of course they can call Afghanistan Obama's war, just like the Soviet Union and Texas. Rewrite the history books. And another email, public concern for the troops in the name of supporting the war is a cynical practice that stems from the Vietnam era, when troops were ignored or insulted after they returned from their tours. So identifying criticism of the war with not supporting the troops developed. Interesting. Also comment on Sharon Engel, who said rape and incest are God's plan. That's right, rape and incest are God's plan. She's running against Harry Reid for Senate in Nevada. Take it from me, David. As a resident of Las Vegas, we do not want this woman in power. Another email, I sincerely hope that it's God's plan to send this ignorant bitch back to hell where she came from. And lastly, the scariest thing about her is her disregard for free will. And I think she's more dangerous than Glenn Miller because she comes with a caveat, her chance to win. And lastly, I mentioned a story that electric cars, including the Chevy Volt, will be difficult to find once GM releases them coming up this year. Think most electricity in the U.S. is still made from the coal power plants, so what is the good of an electric car? You know what? I asked Michael Clare about this from The Nation when he was on the show. He said, you know what? That's true, but we've just got to keep working up the chain. First, let's get the electric cars. Eventually, we will get the source of the electricity to be something other than a fossil fuel. Thanks so much for listening. radio@midweekpolitics.com is our email address. And of course, check us out online, midweekpolitics.com.
You've been listening to Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Midweek Politics is made possible in part by CSR Wire, the corporate social responsibility newswire at csrwire.com, by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.